What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we're going to be going over a knife that I got from the Apex Pass Around group that I thought was something else. This little guy, this is the CJRB Maileah. Little bitty dude. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. So yeah, I got this from the Apex Pass Around group. Bunch of great guys in there. This is a knife that I signed up for and thought it was something else. You know, David Blade Banter does such a great job. It was just really me being stupid because he puts pictures and he puts all this stuff, and I don't really know. But I'm really glad that I made the mistake, okay? Because if you look at this knife, you would automatically be like, yeah, that's not a Kyle knife. And it's really not. But as a fifth pocket knife, which I do carry sometimes as a secondary, or just a secondary knife, this one's actually pretty cool. I'm really surprised on how much I liked it. So the CJRB Maileah, it is a front flipper with thumb studs, as you can see. And this one is sporting a really cool black G10 with red accents. This one is, you know, a Swags design. And I don't know much about Swags as far as their designs. He might have designed something that I've already checked out. I just don't know. And I think it's a cool design. So you have the flipper, the front flipper, and thumb studs. And usually with a front flipper and big hands, small knife, doesn't really work that well. This one is definitely a doable one because I've kind of figured out exactly where to place my hand to get this thing to fire out reliably. So as far as a front flipper, it's really nice and snappy. I really dig it. But the thumb studs are as well. The detent for this knife is dialed awesome. You know, for a budget brand, the CJRB, is the budget brand of artisan cutlery. You know, for a $35 knife, the action and detent on this guy is like so worth the money. I mean, it's actually really fun to play with. Now you'll see this drop shut action. I mean, and the detent, I don't know if you heard that. Snap that thing in there. It's really impressive for a $35 knife, but you guys know that CJRB is really one of my favorite budget brands. So, you know, as far as the sub $50, you really can't beat them. They do a really good job. This one is running on bearings, and it is sporting their really cool new steel. Let's see if it actually, was it say on there? Because I can't remember. Hold on before I do that. Yeah, it does. See if I can get it to focus. Dude. Kinda, sorta, focus, damn you, you piece. This is the RPM9 steel developed by CJRB, or Artisan Cutlery. And I don't know much about it. I can only tell you kind of what I have heard. I do have one knife that is loaned to me by Lefty EDC, which is the Aurora, I can't remember. But it has that steel. He sent that to Jake over at Bearded Gear because Jake uses his knives a lot more than we do. And so he gave it to Jake to test out this steel because he did some outdoor stuff with it, some really more harder use for the steel. And Jake gave it a very big, or gave it his approval of being a good steel. I guess what I would say, what I've heard as far as it's taking D2, like the edge retention of D2, and giving it a little bit more stainless properties. I don't know. That's just what I've heard people say. And if that's the case, I think it's a great choice of steel. Now, only time will tell when more people get the knife and, you know, able to test it out, give it long-term reviews. But I'm optimistic about the steel. This thing, I already talked about action. It's a front flipper, and since it's so small, I found myself thinking, what the heck is up with the action? But if you'll see, if I'm getting the lock bar out of the way and my finger is right here, which is usually where it goes, it doesn't want to move because it's being stopped by my forward finger. So I have to learn to get my finger past that. And then it's just a really nice action, fall shut action. It's just, with my big hands, it's kind of awkward. I always have to remember to get my hand, my hand like past that. I can middle finger flick it, yeah, but it is not easy. For it's a small knife. It's just most of it. Sometimes my forward finger will get in the way just because of the angle in which I have to do it. So I really have to kind of get my hand back here, just like dropping the blade. It's not a huge deal. It's just something that has to be done on a smaller knife like this. So materials, I like. I really dig the color. You can get this in quite a few different color variations. The action, I like. The fact that it has thumb studs and front flipper, where you can do multiple different opening mechanisms. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. You can open it multiple different ways. I like that a ton. This knife is super fun to play with. I really enjoyed that. The only problem with the knife really is the ergos for me and having big hands. I'll do that in a second. I forgot about the pocket clip. Pocket clip is a very nice pocket clip, and fifth pocket for me fits in there really well. They use flathead screws, loop over deep carry pocket clip that goes to the butt of the knife. The only thing that it doesn't have to make it perfect is having that pocket clip sunk into the G10 scales. Would have been nice. It would have made it even better. Not a big deal. It is tip up left or right hand carry. So that's good. That means lefty EDC and all the lefties out there, my brother, will have the option to carry this left-handed. And it's also very nice because, as you can see there, it has the little scalloped cutout on both sides. It's a little bit different, but they have it on both sides, which I believe will, aid in lefties being able to use this reliably. It's nested liners. I love nested liners, so I think lefties are really going to like it. It is definitely locked up solid. I've messed with the pivot a little bit. It keeps coming a little bit loose, where now, even since I've tightened it, it came back and just a tad bit of blade play this way. So maybe a little bit of Loctite in there. We'll fix that for you because once I get, the action was really good and it locked up solid, but it looks like it is kind of backing out a little bit, which is normal. It happens on a lot of knives, so I'm definitely not going to knock it for that. The ergos, though, guys. This is a 2.5 finger knife for me. In this grip where my thumb lands on the very nice jimping, it's just not, it's grippable, and I could do some, EDC tasks with this knife all day long, but it doesn't feel very locked in because it's only a 2.5 finger knife for me. I can get a hold of it. It just doesn't feel comfortable to me. I have another small knife, which we'll flip the camera over, do some size comparisons and specs. This is the Kaiser Sheepdog. This is a very small knife, but it is a full 3-finger, as you can see, knife for me, and I feel more locked in with this little guy than I do on this because it is a smaller knife. So even though it's a 5th pocket knife, it would be a 5th pocket knife for me. If you've got smaller hands, you're gonna love this guy. If you've got my size hands, it's going to be, you kind of be on the fence because you're only going to use this for very light tasks because you just can't get that grip that you usually would want for doing anything else. And that's just the nature of the beast with a small knife, guys. But the way it's put together, the materials, everything else, the design itself, I really dig. I think this is an awesome knife. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, no, what the hell are you thinking? I mean, if this knife had a decent sized finger control, even though it would take away from the, what little cutting edge that you have, but for a very light duty EDC knife, I don't usually need a lot of cutting edge. If this thing had a forward finger control and then I could grip it like this, we would be in a different ball game. But it doesn't, and I know why. I mean, because, yeah, a full finger troll for my fat fingers would probably give you only about that much cutting edge. So I get it. I get why they don't do that, but I might even have thought to pick this up if it had that, because I love a forward finger troll. Some of the ones that we are going to compare this to have them, and that will kind of tell you why or show you why. So yeah, I dig it. I just don't think it would be one that I can spend my money on because of the 2.5 finger grip. I would definitely, if I only had $35 and I wanted a very small knife just to have to cut the regular things that come up in a day, nothing hard use, I think it's a great option. You know, it's definitely, we'll go over specs, but it's only 2.375 on the blade length. So if you live in a communist state where you have to have something under the 3 inches, I mean, you've got it here. This is going to be legal and just about everywhere in the United States. But yeah, you have some states that are just ridiculously stupid on their knife laws and everything else. But I think this would be a good one for that. You know, nobody's going to be intimidated by this little guy. I mean, there might be some, but I don't think there should be anybody that's intimidated by carrying this. I love the blade shape. You know, you've got your, you know, it's kind of a, you know, you can call this a reverse Tonto. It really is like a Warncliffe style blade, but I dig that because you do have that point. The point, or the tip on this thing, come on. It's going to be it's hard for me to do. The tip on it is actually pretty sturdy. I wouldn't be prying with it, but it's a really nice blade shape for an EDC carry because of the clamshell packages. You have a sharp enough point to get into there. I mean, I actually use the tip in a pinch grip like this to kind of get, you know, cut out labels and whatnot. It's very, very nice for that. So the blade shape is a win to be able to do those tasks that you need. It's just so small. So let's go ahead and see how small it is. We'll get the camera turned around and get some size comparisons of some of my other smaller knives and see how it compares to those. So yeah. All right. Before we do specs, let's just get a closer look. You know, G10 steel liners, your typical construction on a knife of this price range, but it's done well. It's not over grippy, but it does have grip to be able to, you know, hold on to it because it's such a small knife. Pocket clip is just really well done. Like I said, the only thing that would make it better is if they inset the pocket clip into the G10. I don't think that would take much time of machining, so I really wish most people would do that to make everybody happy, but I really don't care. I think this pocket clip works well in and out of pocket. I really just love the black and the red accents that this thing has. I think it's the best color combination for this knife. But yeah, so it's so tiny. I love the finish on the blade too. I think they have like a blasted stonewash finish, but this is a, which I usually prefer, and I do prefer, but this one is a satin finish fingerprint magnet, but it looks really nice. They did a good job. The overall length of this guy is only 5.5 inches. That's tiny. Okay, we have small knives and we have tiny knives, and this is a tiny knife. 2.375 inch blade length with a cutting edge of 2 1/4. So not much. You have a blade width of 1 inch. You have a blade thickness of about, let's see, I can't remember exactly what that is. I don't think I wrote it down. This blade thickness is, you know, right at 100 thousandths, just a little bit less, which is really nice with this high saber grind because it gets to like 17 thousandths behind the edge. So that means it cuts, and it cuts well. I didn't do a cut test, did I? So just so I don't have to go around that again, we'll just see how slicey this is through the cardboard. So, you know, even stuff like cardboard, holding it in this grip, you've got enough grip to do that. It's just not the most comfortable. But yeah, slices through cardboard really, really well because of that 17 thousandths behind the edge, guys. They did a really good job. They usually do at CJRB and at Artisan Cutlery. So that is exactly what I expect. So very, very nice. Now, you do have a handle length of 3.125, handle width of about 1 inch at its widest point. And you are looking at 2.27 ounces. 2.27 ounces, I don't think that's right. I think it's lighter than that. Let's give it a whirl on the old scale that we have. I don't know, it might be right. 2.25, so it's pretty damn close. But I mean, yeah, so I mean, that's light as can be. And with this size and profile, it's gonna carry like a dream with a deep carry clip. It's a really nice little companion for somebody who might not be really into knives, but want a cutting tool that works and works well. I mean, CJRB is definitely one to look at for that, especially at the price point of only $35. So let's go ahead and put it up against some smaller knives in my collection. As you can see, with the Spyderco Para 3, it dwarfs this knife is dwarfed by the PM3 or the Para 3, which is, in my opinion, a small knife. However, with this and the forward finger choil, it's really comfortable, right? Go ahead and put it up against that Sheepdog. This is the Kaiser Sheepdog Mini, and as you can see, it is still much larger than the Maileah. This one, I can get full 3 fingers on, so it definitely is better grip-wise. As far as action, though, this big flipper tab that we have out here is very aggravating to me because when I drop it, it still is not past the detent, and so that's kind of aggravating for me on this knife in particular. You don't have that on this because it is a front flipper. So in that aspect, I really like the action on this Maileah a lot better than I do the Kaiser Sheepdog, even though the Sheepdog is a little bit more my size and is a great knife, guys. I really, really enjoy that knife. Another one that I carry as a backup blade that could still be used probably as a primary for most people is the Fox or the F5.5, excuse me. This one was a gift by my freaking brother from another mother, Lefty EDC, Kevin. He knew that I loved this knife, but when I had it, the finger choil was not big enough for my sausagey fingers. So this knife has actually taken the place as my all-time favorite smaller knife because he had BJ Hill at Hilltop Knives and Gear extend this out for my big old fingers. He also did some bronzing of the hardware. You see my pocket coming off of there. Of the hardware and the pocket clip, and so this is a Riot made product with a detent that is absolutely phenomenal for middle finger flicking. So it is my all-time favorite knife, but it is one of my smaller knives, and as you can see, it's a behemoth compared to the Maileah. But hey, to each their own. I kind of wish it had a forward finger choil because it really wouldn't be that bad for me if it had one. Then I could get a good enough grip on it. I think it would be cool for them to try that at CJRB. But like I said, you would lose a lot of cutting edge. But for this knife size, I don't think it would matter. I really don't. So anyways, my favorite small knife of all time next to the tiniest knife I think I've ever had in my hand. Could be wrong about that, but yeah, as you can see, just a small little guy, but I think it is so well made for the price that you pay. And I think a lot of people, for their first knife, this is a good one. This is a real good one, especially because it's a front flipper. They can practice that and really feel how much fun a front flipper could be. But if they don't want to use that, the snappiness of the thumb studs, they work so well. I think everybody would enjoy playing with a knife because that's what a lot of us knife guys do. But if you're just wanting a tool, boom, there you go. It is a great little tool, guys. Instead of using box cutters and whatnot, in the shipping area, something like this, I think would be super fun and awesome to be able to have this to cut down and break down boxes versus one of those cheapo box cutters. In my opinion, I mean, I don't know. I don't use them every day, so I couldn't tell you. But yeah, guys, I'm a really big fan. It's just a little too small for me, but, everything else about this knife, I like the action. It is really fun to play with, and I'm very grateful from the Apex Pass Around group that I was able to check it out. Even though it was a mistake, I'm glad of the mistake. I'm glad I actually had an opportunity to get this in my hand because it surprised me. It is still a very fun knife. It's a snappy knife, detent-wise and action-wise, just a little bit bigger. Boy, just a little bit bigger, and it would probably go in the collection at the $35 price point. So anyways, I really appreciate you stopping by and checking it out with me. You guys are awesome. I love you. I mean, the support in this community with the Apex Pass Around group, the guys there are just amazing. So yeah, definitely, all the guys in the Apex Pass Around group, if you know who they are and you watch a bunch of us, you'll know these guys are just the best. Stay safe in this crazy world that we are living in, and we will see you in the next one.